High in the mountains, where the wind howled like a banshee and snow fell year-round, lived a girl named Yukiko. Yukiko was no ordinary young girl. She possessed an uncanny ability, the blessing of evil frost. She was the very embodiment of the evil frost in this plane. This icy aura, emanating from the wasteland and that had accumulated on the mountain's peak, was lethal to ordinary people and cultivators. But Yukiko was different. She was the frost child. Yukiko's tolerance for the cold was absolute. She would often as a child wander out into blizzards that would freeze the breath of even the most seasoned hunters. The icy wind seemed to whisper secrets to her, and the snow-covered landscape held no fear over her. She was a true daughter of winter, but her gift came at a price. The same frost that flowed through her veins, protecting her from the cold, also isolated her from others. Her touch froze them. Her coldness was unbearable. Even her family, her own flesh and blood, most of them kept their distance. Yukiko was practically alone, a solitary figure in a world of white. Yukiko belonged to the Winter Herb Clan, a small but powerful clan who carved a life out of the mountainside. They survived by harvesting rare herbs that grew in the wastelands. These herbs held potent, mysterious properties. The clan revered the herbs and the mountain. They believe a powerful spirit is alive in these lands known as the Evil Frost. Yukiko's ability was seen as a blessing from the lands, but a blessing can sometimes come with a cost. Tragedy touched Yukiko's life early on. Her mother, a healer, succumbed to complications during childbirth when Yukiko was a child. Her father, heartbroken, ventured into the wasteland warlands and has been stationed there protecting the clan ever since with the clan's army. Yukiko's older siblings viewed her with fear and resentment. They couldn't help but fear and resent the force of nature who took their mother from them. She was a reminder of their loss and the mountain's indifference. Yukiko's days were spent in quiet solitude. Each morning she would wake before the sun, her breath the same temperature as the frigid air. She would dress in her white and sky blue clothes. Her first task was always the same, to tend to the clan's herb garden, a small patch of miraculously fertile land nestled in a sheltered valley. The garden was Yukiko's domain, her sanctuary. She knew every inch of it, every plant, every leaf. She spoke to the plants, whispered words of encouragement, and sang them songs her mother had taught her. The herbs were more than just plants to Yukiko. They were her companions, her confidants. She understood their properties, their strengths and their weaknesses. She knew how to prepare them, how to combine them to create powerful remedies. She had inherited her mother's position as the plants expert and the village's shrine maiden. After tending to the garden, Yukiko would return to the village, her arms laden with herbs. She would spend the rest of the day sorting, cleaning and preparing them. She would grind them into powders, mix them with animal fats to make salves and brew them into potent teas. The only bright spot in Yukiko's solitary life was her younger brother, Yukidori. Unlike the others, Yukidori didn't fear her. He was just a baby when their parents left them, too young to remember their warmth, their touch. He only knew Yukiko, his sister, his protector. Yukidori was a frail child, prone to coughs and colds. Yukiko doted on him, worrying over every sniffle, every shiver. She used her knowledge of herbs to keep him healthy, brewing him special teas to boost his immunity and soothe his coughs. In the evenings when the wind howled outside and the fire crackled in the hearth, Yukiko would tell Yukidori stories. Stories of their parents, of the mountain, of the spirits that lived among the peaks. She would sing him songs, ancient melodies passed down through generations, their words filled with both joy and sorrow. Yukidori would listen, his eyes wide with wonder. He loved his sister, her stories, her songs. He didn't care that she was different. To him, she was perfect. She was his world. One day, after the season of evil frost had begun already burying the village in a thick blanket of snow, the wind howled, a whistling sound echoed throughout the valley. Inside the patriarch's private herb garden, Yukiko handled the precious plants like she did most days. Suddenly, a commotion was heard from the main gate, disrupting the day-to-day lives of the clansmen. Yukiko made her way to the gate. When she moved past the villagers who made way for their holy woman, she was surprised by what she found. Bent over with an extremely fatigued frame was Daisuke with his best friend and brother Pride tied to his back. They were covered in snow, their clothes frozen stiff. As soon as Yukiko saw Daisuke, she was brought back that day 2 years ago, a young girl surrounded by a pack of white wolves after she stumbled into their den where they kept their young. Then before the wolves gathered the courage to attack her, the pack leader and closest followers were drawn away by something. A few minutes later, she heard high-pitched yelps, followed by rocks and bones audibly breaking. Walking into the den carrying the bodies of the pack leader and a few of the other wolves while the rest followed in submission was a tall young man with long black hair and rippling muscles.